everyone, Tara Lynn here. How are you? We are going to do the Purple Winter Advanced Artistry design tonight, and I've got a few samples here, but you can also follow along with your step-by-step guide if you have one of those printed out or from your box. I've got two samples here. This one here, I used the purple iris for the background. This one here, I used black for the background. And then on the final step, for this one, I added some sequins. And for this one, I added some rhinestones. So just a little extra bling on there if you want to. If you are a box subscriber, you did get some rhinestones and sequins in the kit if you want to use those. If not, you can totally just do top dots or whatever you'd like. I'm using the colors that were included with this month's palette. So we've got the titanium white. We've got Wisteria, which is my lightest purple. We've got the Dazzling metallics. Purple pearl. It's hard to tell on the bottle, but it's metallic. And then I've got the brilliant purple. And for the background, you can either use the purple iris that was included. Definitely are going to need 2 coats on that if you do the purple iris. Or you could use black or another color if you've got another color available. So don't be afraid to make it your own. I'm going to be creating on a 4-inch stone tonight. The inside of this bubble trinket dish is about 4 inches, even though the dish itself is a little bit larger, but the inside space is about 4 inches. So you can create on any 4-inch surface. If you've got the trinket dish, even better. We are using the 6-arm stencil, and so you'll want to get that centered and put on your kit. If you're using the trinket dish is a little unfriendly when you're trying to use the stencil. So what I did was I used the guidelines and I tried to find the center by lining it up on the bubbles. And then I pushed my pencil down in the middle and I did just the 6 closest lines. So I only did the center dot and then the 6 pieces for my sample when I did the trinket dish. Once you have those center lines, you can pretty much work everything else out on its own. Since I'm using a stone and this was a little more flat, I went ahead and put the 6 rays. So let's get started. For the center dot, I'm going to use my 8mm tool and the purple paint. Purple metallic. Remember, your center dot is the most important, so make sure that is lined up. Once you have your center dot, we are going to move to the 1.5mm stylus end. So for me, that's the blue stylus, the large end, and we're going to use the brilliant purple. I'm going to start by adding my 6 dots where each of my lines are. Once I have those, I can go back through and add 1 in between. So we're going to end up with a total of 12 around our center dot. Then I'm going to switch to my 3mm tool And I'm going to stick with Brilliant Purple. And I'm going to add one dot. I'm going to put this dot in between. So I've got these 6 lines. The 3mm is going to go in between those lines. So it'll be next to a purple dot in between our set of lines. And I'm going to go all the way around. So there will be 6 of those. Next, I'm going to use a 4mm tool, and we're going to add white dots. The white dots are going to be on the lines in between those purple dots. And there's 6 of those. I'm doing a little bit of splatter, so I'm just wiping some of that off. Trying to catch some of that before it dries. Alright, so 6 white dots. Those white dots are on the line. We're going to switch to our 6mm tool and Wisteria paint, which is the light lavender color. And I'm going to add a 6mm dot in between the lines. So centered in between those white dots, next to the purple dot. And we work our way around for a total of 6 of those. Next, I'm going to switch to my 8mm tool and our Brilliant Purple. And next to the white on the line, in between the dots that we just made, I'm going to add an 8mm Brilliant Purple. So this one goes on the line. And we work our way around for 6 of those. Then I'm going to switch to my 3mm stylus tool. On the line, next to the dots we just made, I'm going to add a set of 3mm metallic dots. So there are 6 of those. And then once again on the lines, same tool, 3mm stylus, I'm going to add a set of white dots right next to what we just did on the line. Six of those. Dip and dot each time to keep the size the same. Now once you finish those, I am going to switch to my 1.5mm tool, which is my blue stylus on the large end, and I'm going to walk the dots. So you'll see on the step-by-step guide, where I have my purple dot, I walk the dots next to it in white, and where I have my white dot, I walk the dots next to it with my metallic purple. So I've got metallic purple here in the middle. I'm going to use my 1.5mm tool and I'm going to walk the dots. So when you walk the dots, you dip once and then you dot and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can fit 5 in there. Maybe you can fit 4, maybe you can fit 6. Just keep it the same number each time. So I re-dip and do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I can switch to the next one, re-dip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Re-dip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to continue all the way around with the white first. Once you go all the way around with the white, I'm going to use the same tool, 1.5mm, and I'm going to use the metallic purple, and I'm going to walk the dots for another layer. This time maybe I can fit an extra dot in there since we're working a little farther. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to stick with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we added 2 layers here and we created petals. What we're going to do next is we're going to add a 4mm purple dot using the Brilliant Purple in between each of those petals. So where we've got the Wisteria dot right next to it, we are going to add a 4mm dot right in that little nook. We add one all the way around for a total of 6. Right next to the purple dot we just made, I'm going to grab my 8mm tool using the same paint color, Brilliant Purple. I'm going to add an 8mm dot. Again, I'm working right in between the lines next to the dot we just created. So we have a 4mm and then an 8mm right next to it. Work all the way around so that we end up with 6 of those. We're going to go up a size, 10mm, and we're going to use the metallic paint, and this dot I'm going to put on each line. So we're going to work next to the petals on the line. We're going to add a 10mm dot right next to each petal. Remember, when you're working with larger tools, you need lots of paint on there. Make sure you go up over the edge when you dip and leave enough room for that paint to kiss the background, kiss the stone. Give it enough room to smush out a little bit. So I'm going to continue with the metallic, and I'm going to switch to my 3mm stylus tool, and we're going to go back in between the lines. So where we've got this Brilliant Purple set of 2 dots, right next to that, I'm going to dip and make 1 dot. And then before I move on, I'm going to use my pencil tip. You can always use your smallest stylus as well, but I'm going to pull that out into a little pin. And then we're going to add 6 of those. Now, if you're following along with the step-by-step guide, we are down here now. We're about to start step 6. And what we're doing in this step is we are going to walk the dots here at an angle, and then we're going to walk the dots around this large metallic dot. So if you struggle like I do with angles, you can use your pencil and kind of pre-draw that angle if you want to, just to give yourself a reference. I don't think they need to be absolutely perfect, but some people are better at eyeballing this than others, so just to give you an idea, we're creating kind of a little V there, coming out from that pin we just created. And for that tool, I'm going to use my 2.5 millimeter, and I'm using Wisteria paint, which is the light lavender, and we're going to walk those dots at an angle. And so you dip once, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now maybe you have less space. It's okay if you only have 4 dots, 3 dots. However many you can fit is fine, but you're just going to want to do that same number all the way around. My little last dot here I'm not real crazy about, so I'm just going to fix that one. All right. All right, so really this was just walking the dots at an angle. It's not as complicated as it looks. it's even easier if you add those guidelines. And then where we've got these large metallic dots, I'm going to add a center dot. I'm going to use my 3mm tool and Wisteria. I'm going to add my center dot on the line, if you've got the lines, right next to this giant purple, 3mm. Once you have all 6 of those, switch to your 2.5mm end and your white paint, and we're going to walk the dots around that circle. So dip once and then count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can fit 6. We're going to do that for each one. For the next step, we're going to create some teardrops. So I'm going to switch to my 4mm tool and the white paint. And the first set of teardrops I'm going to do right where that pin is pointing. So I'm going to add a 4mm dot, and then you can use your smallest stylus or your pencil tip and turn that dot into a teardrop. So I'm going to add 6 of those. once you have all 6 of those, we're using the same tool, 4mm, and the same color paint, white. And we're going to go back to one of these teardrops and backtrack. So we've got the teardrop, a pin, and then we've got this large brilliant purple dot. On each side of that, I'm going to add a 4mm dot, so 2 of those. And then each one of those gets pulled into a pin, and I like to do it at the same angle as we walked those dots. So I pull it out into a pin and then turn it into a teardrop. So each section we end up with 3 teardrops, 1 in the center and then 1 on each side. So we dip and dot, and then we pull it into a pin and then fill in that teardrop shape. Now once you've completed that all the way around, you are done with the base of the design. So now is a great time to pause the video, stretch your legs, get a drink, use the restroom, and come on back after your piece is pretty dry. We want our base layer to be dry before we do top dots or anything to it. So go ahead and pause the video and come on back in just a few minutes. Right, I'm ready to do my top dots and maybe some rhinestones to really bling this up a little bit. I think that top dots and the rhinestone or sequin additions are a really great way that you can take the same pattern and change it up a little bit and make it your own. So please feel free to just kind of do your own thing. You don't have to do exactly as I do. However, if you want to do what I did on the sample pattern, I will show you how to do that. So the first thing I did was in this set of 6 Wisteria dots here, I am going to use my 3mm tool and my metallic purple paint. And I'm going to add a metallic top dot. Then right next to that, I'm going to switch to my 4mm tool, and we've got these larger brilliant purple dots. There are 6 of those, and I'm going to add a white top dot. Then using that same 4mm tool, I am going to find the row where I've got these teardrops at the end. Just inside that row, we've got this large, brilliant purple. On top of those, I'm going to add 1 Wisteria top dot with my 4mm tool. Now, on my sample, in the very center, I've got a rhinestone, and then on the largest metallic dots, I also added a rhinestone. So that is an option if you want to do that, add some rhinestones. On my other sample, I added some sequins, and those are kind of fun. So I added those in place of the rhinestones. If you've got the box, you've got both of those as an option. You can even do both if you want to. Another option would be to let this dry completely and do another set of top dots. So totally up to you. I can't wait to see what you decide to do. You've got lots of different choices, and I hope that you will share with me in the share space and in the Facebook group. And I will see you next month for our Pop Art Hearts designs. And I can't wait to see you then. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great night.